Okay, here we go, everybody. So I'm gonna try and do an updated video for all the stuff I've got going on in the garage. I haven't really made one in a bit. The 78 that I had listed for sale, it's already gone. It's up in Ohio now. I'm working on the 57. I've got another shovel head motor that's over there underneath the trash bag. I've got some frames over here, which I'll give some updates on for what I'm gonna do with them. My foot is currently I had to have my toes redone. So this is kind of slowing me down. I'm on some crutches and everything else, but I can still get, a few things done in the garage. Set myself up with some chairs and some other stuff. So first thing we're gonna do out of all this is pull these cylinders off of this panhead. So that's the next thing I gotta do. This motor, honestly, I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do with it. Might put it in something, I might not. I might just sell it, we'll see. But it's really good shape shovel head motor. I'll do another video or something on that if I figure out what I'm gonna do with it later. I think it's 82 question mark, don't know. It's got the shortened VIN. I haven't put a whole lot of time in trying to figure out exactly what year it is, but looks like it's in real good shape. New pistons, new everything, new top end, new gaskets, all that sort of stuff. Probably runs really good. Maybe I'll throw it in a frame first and run it. But I haven't decided everything yet. So the panhead did get a springer, so that's a change. I've got to change the front wheel. So right now this is just it's all just mocked up. But I think I want a 21. That's 21. I just need to find a spool hub. And I did some new exhaust and some other stuff with it. But let's get going on these all this stuff for the pistons here. So I took the heads off, and let me sit down. So you can still see like cross hatchings in there. There's carbon at the top, but it doesn't really feel like it's got like a whole lot of a lip other than carbon that's sitting up there. The pistons, when you run them through, those seem good, right? I'll clean off all this on both. And I bought a ball hone. So yeah, I mean the motor seems good. So I'm gonna just re-hone these real quick and slap a new set of piston rings on it and then put it back together. It's already 60 over, so I could go 70 or 80, but I don't know if I really want to do that. These are original cylinders, so I'm gonna keep those. I could swap out to some aftermarket stuff. Maybe I'll look at that further down the line, or I'll find another set of, original panhead kind of cylinders at a future date. Swap meets, all that sort of stuff, and put them in, get those rebored. But this is the motor I keep. This is the frame. This bike hangs around, so I'm gonna do some stuff to it to, I don't want to say like band-aid it, but probably get it good for like another year or so, and then I'll move on down the line, do some other stuff to it. The other bikes I do kind of come and go, pretty quick. Just like that girder that's over there that's on that frame. I think that's probably the next one I'm gonna build. The black frame I'll talk about in a second, but I've got to do some like rework on it to actually get it ready to run. So we're gonna pull these cylinders off, look at the pistons, make sure the pistons look good. I've already ordered the parts, so hopefully everything looks good, because I would kind of ruin my day otherwise. And then I'm gonna go through and we'll probably start taking these apart. I got to clear off some room on my workbench, which is gonna be a whole other kind of fiasco. But take these apart, pull the valves out, lap them. I might change the valve guides, as there is a decent amount of carbon and oil and junk and everything buildup wise on these. So maybe that's what I need to do. I'll look at it. I'll see how much space I have, clearance and everything else for valve guides and all that sort of stuff. But I think honestly this head is probably the better one. Although carbon buildup wise, it looks like it's worse. I don't know. The whole reason I tore this motor apart is low compression, and basically I pulled this thing from a garage and it had been sitting since the 90s. I threw some stuff at it, fired it up, it started running, and I've just ran it that way since then. So I think it's time just to go inside and actually look at everything on it. I'm not gonna split the cases and all that sort of stuff because I don't want to deal with having to, pull all that stuff apart and everything. I know the bottom end sounds fine. The only noise it was making was one of the rockers up here is loose. The shaft just has a little bit of play. Not a huge deal. So, all right, let's tear this thing down. Yep. All right. Okay. We get this base nuts off, and we can pull these cylinders out. There we go. Come on out of there. All right. So you can see down in there, that don't look too bad at all. Yeah, no, this is, yeah, I can run this. I can definitely rerun this. Okay, I'll set you down there. Oh. Well, eat that. All right. Oh, and it's regular clips. Yes, money. Okay, sweet. There we go. Starting to get a little movement. There it is. Okay, now she broke free. Okay, good. Good. Shake all that off. All right. Get all off of there. Okay. All right, Mr. Cylinder. You got a little bit more on the bottom, don't you? Yep, a little bit there, a little bit there. And this was the cylinder that was giving me more problems. So, see where it's kind of scuffing down there? Has worn some of that off. I think it's still doable. I think. There we go. Yeah, I don't look too bad. Looks pretty good. Yep. I think I'll be able to just hone the cylinders, clean these up, clean off all this carbon, new set of rings, then put it back together. Looks like that's the ticket. So we'll get this other one apart. So there's both the pistons out. Yeah, neither one of those look super messed up. Yeah, no, that's good. Okay. Those are good. So, all right, rods are good. All those look fine. All this looks good. Everything in there looks good. So we're gonna rotate this thing back around and suck the rods down in. Okay, and then I can cover all this up and leave it until I get all this stuff sorted out. So we'll get the ball hone for the cylinders. That should show up before too long. We'll clean the pistons all up. Clean the heads up, take the pans off, rockers off, go through everything on the top end, valve job, maybe new guides. And new set of piston rings. Put it all back together. I think that should hopefully fix the low compression issue, some of the other issues. We're also going to swap this thing back to the timer that I already talked about. A few other things with the bike, and then once I get a spool, I need a spool front wheel. That's a 5/8 axle. I don't really care what size. 21 would be cool, the 19 would be cool, it doesn't really matter. So as far as the rest of the channel and everything, what I'm doing with this is I'm just gonna keep building random bikes. That's what I do. I've got this frame that I picked up. So hardtail, don't know if it'll fit an Evo or not, but I'm gonna figure that out because I have a feeling I'm getting an Evo motor back relatively soon, and I don't know if it would fit in there or not. If not, then I'll figure something else out to do with it. But this girder I think is going to stay on this frame. It fits this about right, like with the rake of this versus the I think this is like a 10 over on this girder. I'm gonna clean all this up and then repaint it. This shovel head frame, somebody put a hardtail on. The top portion isn't too bad. If you look at it, I mean, everything, you know, just take all this with a grain of salt. So top portion isn't atrocious, and I think I can work around making that safer. The bottom portion is bad because of the way they did that and just welded it directly onto the end of that cast tube. So my plan is I'm gonna get it up on my frame jig. I want to keep, so since it's already got all the transmission mounts and everything there, I think I'm gonna keep that tube and just let's see if I can get a good angle on this. I'm trying to work through here. So I'll get the I'm gonna take basically some round stock and I don't know, some other just, you know, cold rolled tubing and everything else, and build myself basically a T, because I want everything to be slugged. So I want a slug to come from here straight into that hardtail, and then tee off, and then go into the transmission mount and everything else over here. So ultimately this tube is the more structural member out of all of it. The rest of it's just, you know, that just holds the transmission in. So I mean, structural, but not like, you know, the frame's gonna fall apart kind of idea. So if I cut that tube here, cut this tube out, probably cut it here, and cut that weld, then I can run just a slug straight through both of those and hook into, rosette weld it and all that sort of stuff on either side of the frame, and then tee it off to go into the transmission cross member that's right there. Cut all the rest of that stuff off. I think I can make that work. I'm gonna try anyway, because right now I don't want to run it the way it is. That just looks, I do some sketchy stuff, and that's beyond my amount of sketchy that I'm willing to deal with. This upper portion, I can't tell if they slugged it, but they at least shoved them all the way up in here underneath, and then they welded the living crap out of all this. So I think that probably would work, just based on the way, like if you think the angles, this is going to have a compression on it, so it's going to try and push into this, which this all looks reasonably solid up in here. Maybe I'll gust it a little bit more. That is going to have, you know, a tension on the bottom where the front, you know, with the weight of the bike and everything else, when you hit a bump, it's going to try and pull that hardtail off at the bottom. So I want that way stronger than what it is right now. But that's basically what I'm doing with this one. Now this is a stock rake setup, and it looks like it's reasonably close to stock dimensions, and it's got a juice drum mount on the back, so that'll be cool. I've got a juice drum backing plate, which I can rebuild and put together, so that'll be good in this bike. That's probably 2 builds from now, be my guess. I think this is gonna be the next one, just because it's easier, honestly.